Hey, 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 yeah, hey.
Go. Okay, am I hearable? Am I hearable? Okay. Sorry about that. Was having some technical difficulties here. Um, this is PegLegCraig. And yes, tonight is all about a tale of three lies, and I will get to that shortly, but I do want to cover some business first. First of which is a story that I've been following for some months now, and yes, we finally got some justice. Probably not as much as we deserve, or certainly not as much as the child deserves, but former Freehold intermediate school special education teacher has pled guilty to first degree aggravated sexual assault involving a 15-year-old student. Prosecutors will seek a 12-year state prison sentence under NARA, plus lifetime supervision and Megan's Law requirements for Allison Haverin Niederach of Jackson. Sentencing is set for May 7th. So the plea deal was supposed to be 12 years. I don't know why it just wasn't done all at once, but apparently there's going to be some other backroom dealing going on. So I would imagine that sentence is probably going to be like 10 years, maybe, hopefully no less than that before it's done. And it's a lot less than she deserves under any circumstances, but at least we're seeing some justice in the New Jersey school system. So we saw this story through from its conception all the way to when it's gone this far, the hiccups in the trial and everything. So it's been a long, hard road, and I'm really, really proud to say that we got this one. All right. So at the very least, she pled guilty, which is good. All right. One other thing I want to get out of the way in the way of housekeeping is this story. Uh, this really angered me this week. Now, Murphy is the outgoing governor of New Jersey, and he granted 148 18 New Jersey murderers among 148 granted clemency by Phil Murphy. I'm certainly not going to go through the list with you. It is quite substantial, but I can tell you that one of them was the son of a campaign donor who had just been sentenced, and I think he's going to get out next year. His clemency begins, and there were a number of murderers who by no means deserved a pardon. There are plenty on here, or at least a commuting of their sentences. Uh, there are by no means a lot of these people deserve to get this clemency, but there were a lot of them that were here for drug violations from back in the 90s and the mid 80s. So, um, so from the the late '80s, mid '90s. So all we can do really is, be thankful that he didn't let some of the other murderers go. But we have a new governor, Mikey Sherrill, sorry, and this, yeah, I mean, we're in for a lot more of this. So get used to it. So as far as New Jersey goes, that's my housekeeping on Jersey. I'm glad Phil Murphy to see the back of him now. He's gone, and we can get on with, living life as we once knew it in Jersey. Unfortunately, as we once knew it is bad because we're going to have nothing but trouble with Mikey Sherrill. I can already see it coming. Now this week, I really want to give this because this is really a part of my testimony at this point. Um, Something happened this week where, okay, in order for you to get the full impact of the story, I'm going to have to tell the full story. Um, this week, I went for particular type of insurance that's indigenous to people in my financial situation, and I could have had all of my insurance needs taken care of. Now, I want you to understand that I'm not just, somebody who just has minor insurance needs at this point. There was a tumor found in my bladder, and also I have atypical cells, which generally means that I have at the very least, early stage cancer. So hopefully, this procedure will remove that, and I'm getting chemo at the same time. So, I should be okay, hopefully, and with God's help, God willing, because God has a plan for all of us. And, if his plan is to call me home, then home I shall go. But it probably won't be anytime soon. So, anyway, but with this added to the burden of all the other medical bills that I have, I had a way out. And all I had to do to get to this way out was tell three lies. And I'm not going to lie to you. Initially, I told the three lies, and I felt so grieved immediately after. By the time I got to the third lie, there was no ink pressed yet. By the time I had called back and recanted and had rebuked the entire process, so it leaves me with my current insurance, which is not very helpful. But you know what? I don't care because my treasures I'm seeking in heaven, not on earth. And I want people to realize that, by getting them by ill-gotten gains, it's filthy lucre. All right. It's something that the Bible doesn't want for us. And it was a particular verse from the Bible that really brought me home on this and really made me do the right thing. And I mean, look, I'm as vulnerable as anybody. I could fall just as easily as anybody. But Second Corinthians 12:9 was the verse that really turned things around. It's where God tells Paul, "My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." And Paul's reply, "Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." So I figure with all this going on right now, I've got the power of Christ resting all over me because I am weak and I am vulnerable in a million situations right now. And you know what? I am not unhappy about it. All right. I'm not happy about it. I ain't going to say that, I want to go through this. I'm much like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. I would like this cup to be passed from me, but it's his will, not mine. And that's what I want you people to realize, that it's his will, not yours. And what good would it do me to gain the world? All right. And in my case, the world is being able to take care of all of my medical needs. What good would it do me to be able to do that if I were to lose my salvation? But let's not even say lose my salvation. If I were to be penalized in heaven, within the realm of my salvation. Because I know that there are a ton of these once saved, always saved folks out there who believe that no matter what. And to some extent, I do believe it. I just believe that there is a point where we can fall away from salvation. I mean, I can't imagine that if you're saved and you went by the book for 10 years of your life and then suddenly you turn towards paganism, that you've made it. I cannot wrap my mind around that. Now, they have a workaround for this. I say, well, that person was never saved in the first place. But I mean, I don't know. I do think it is possible to reject the Holy Spirit once he's been inside you. And I mean, I'm glad that I don't think I was ever in that situation. I had, tacitly joined into Christianity when in my teens, my late teens, and it was mostly over a girl. And I fell away. I fell away hard. I only went to church 2 times. I was never took it seriously. I had a bag of weed in my pocket when I would be at church, and ready to smoke as soon as I got out. And my version of fasting back then was not smoking the weed before I went into church. So to me, I never really gained the true enlightenment of God. And I had always been God curious for a lot of years after that. And then, it was in the last decade, I came back to Christ, but it was a slow coming back. You know, I hadn't really accepted the full responsibility of being a Christian. And it isn't until, let's say, the last year or so that I have. And I realize now that I have an obligation to keep God's word no matter what. And it doesn't matter if I'm saved forever or not. I love God enough that I do not want to grieve the Holy Spirit and thusly grieve God and Jesus Christ by going against his word. Lying is one of the biggest, uh, you know, crushing sins in the book. I mean, it's one of the ones that, he says nobody will, inherit the kingdom of heaven if they have a lying tongue, you know. And to me, like, I couldn't fathom being able to, okay, well, I would have gotten all this stuff to get my medical care done, and I would have felt maybe I would have lived longer or felt better or whatever it's going to be, but um, what good would it have done me? Because once I'm dead, then I have eternity to worry about. And it was more than that. Like I said, it was the actual feeling of grieving God. It literally hurt me. I was texting to my girlfriend and I was like, look, I gotta go. I gotta deal with this, you know? And, she was very encouraging in all this too. I mean, she wasn't like she said, well, you should, just keep it the way it is. It's okay. You'll be all right. No, she wanted me to do what my heart said to do. And that's what I did. So I recanted. And now, as I said, it's going to make things a lot more difficult. But um, uh, um, but the thing is that, like, the important thing is that I've come a long way. But anyway, let me move on. I'm sorry, my producer's saying stuff. I have no idea how to correct what she's asking for. So I'm sorry. I don't even really know what she's asking for because I'm spreading 2 places at once because this is very important to me. Now, another verse that kind of struck me, it kind of hit me like a hammer afterward, was know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. Well, you know, how could I possibly claim the mantle of that if I had had this lie hanging over me? Hopefully, I'm, you know, getting something across to you that taking the easy road out is not the way to go. Okay, you have to fight. You have to fight yourself. You have to fight what you think is going to bring you comfort on this, on this earth, you know, and make you lose your soul in heaven, you know. And again, maybe it is just a matter of, you know, my position would be different, in heaven. But it doesn't matter. It's not even about that anymore to me. It's about, standing right with God, you know. Lamentations 3:25. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. So I seek him. I don't worry about anything else anymore. And, I can't even believe that I went as far as to be that tempted that I actually fell for a period of time. And I'm glad that I had time to make it up. I may get in some trouble for this now, but that's okay because I fixed it before it could be an issue. So, I have to see what's going to happen here. But honestly, I would rather face um, what I'm going through now without any help from anybody than go through worrying about what's going to happen after I die. All right. I want to be close to God. It's the one thing that I truly need. It's the one thing I truly desire. I build my treasures in heaven, not on this earth. So many things. And I'm not going to say, well, I consciously fell away from this and I consciously fell away from that. Once I really got this real deep inside me, the way that I have it now, all of those things fell away. I mean, I'm not even really that interested in modern entertainment very much anymore. I watch some things here and there, but for the most part, I spend most of my days trying to study the Bible in one way or another, listening to sermons. I'm particularly fond of the Shepherd's Chapel. And they have two new pastors now that Dennis Murray has passed. God rest him. They have Laurel Pike and Luther Pike. They are not as dynamic, I will say, and they do take a little getting used to at first, but they're young at being behind the pulpit and leading the church. So I want to take that journey with them for as long as I'm able to. And I think they're doing a fine job. I think maybe they could, maybe step up their ability to speak a little bit better. That's about the only beef that I have with them. Another person that I've taken a lot of interest in lately is Adrian Rogers. Now he's been dead since 2005, but some of his sermons are the best preached sermons. He goes down to the basics, the very bare bones of things. And I don't really know where he stands on a lot of doctrine. All right, but I like his sermons. His sermons capture the heart. All right. So if you get a chance, look him up. Adrian, I just said his name and I forgot it already. Um, but he is a fantastic pastor. Just rewind it a little bit and you'll get to it. I'm sorry, I have some cognitive issues because of medications and such that I'm on. But he's a fantastic pastor, and his sermons are just absolutely beautiful. Now, again, I want to go back to a show that we did 2 weeks ago about lust and dealing with lust and how we defeat lust. All right. It's very important because there's been a lot of things that have come up since then. And, you know, there's been some, bad things that have occurred in some of this for some people. And what I want to do is I want to clear this up. Okay. You can't fight lust on your own. Particularly, and I'm going to go to a particular group here, particularly as it comes to self pleasuring to porn, because I want to take this to a different level. Maybe you'll understand it better. On a science level, it affects the dopamine in your brain, okay? Because you're used to pleasing yourself the way that you want to be pleased. When we go to please ourselves, it's not like we, take a bunch of time to figure out how it should be done and we sit through a whole lot of stuff. We fast forward and rewind and go to the places that we like the most and do the things that we enjoy doing in those situations. But what I'm trying to tell you is it affects the dopamine in your brain. Okay, it's going to get you to a point where you cannot have a relationship. I have been, let's say, I've been interested in some recent issues that some people have had with not being able to interact properly with the opposite sex anymore because of what they're doing and what they've done. and because of how they're used to perceiving a woman in an objective way as opposed to seeing them as a real warm human being. When you get married to someone, all right, which is the goal of dating, when you get married to someone, you become one flesh. All right. It should be that if your partner is hurt in some way, your wife or your husband is hurt in some way, that it's got to hurt you too. It may not hurt the same way, obviously. Like, let's say, a situation like mine, I have a tumor in my bladder, and it is rather painful and uncomfortable to deal with. Well, my girlfriend, who, well, I don't want to say too much, but I hope we will mate together in this life to the end. Um, she feels it. All right. I feel it when I talk to her. That's why, like, sometimes I'm careful how I word things because I don't want to upset her. I don't want to worry her. But at the same time, I want to be viciously honest with her. Now, if I were involved in, pornography constantly, or I were a constant fornicator who's used to throwing out lines and lies and all these other things to get women into my bed each night, I wouldn't feel this way. Okay. And I want you to understand that you can have something so much better than instant gratification if you are willing to let go of it and seek intimacy, seek true intimacy. And I know it's very difficult to find people to date, and that's why I recommend going to the church, talking to your pastor, telling them that you're single and alone and whatnot, and see if there's some way they can help you. They may introduce you to people. They may know some Christian singles type of thing. There is a dating site called Christian Mingle, which I understand has put together people of different faiths, and they've come together and made their flesh one flesh. I want you to have the joy of intimacy. I want you to be able to enjoy watching yourself have kids. Because think about it, if you're into the self gratification thing and you just go with that for your whole life, or you're into the fornication thing and you go with that your whole life, now when you get to my age and something happens to you, like this bladder cancer thing, who's going to be there for you? Your friends will, you know, some people's friends are friends to the end and they'll stick by you. That's true. But you don't have a family tie. All right. You didn't have kids, so you don't have kids to help you. You know, you don't have people to leave behind when you go. You don't have, someone in your life, like in my case, Amy, shouldn't have said her name, sorry. Uh, you don't have somebody in your life that you can count on, that you can lean on, that you can really let it all go with, because I know that if I was going through a deeply emotional state about all this, I could just let it go with her. And you're not going to get that. The porn actress doesn't care. She's on the screen. All right. The cam girl doesn't care. She wants her money. She may pretend to care for a little while, but will she be there when you really need her for free? No, of course not. Will she be there because she wants to be? No, she'll be there because you pay her to be there. And the same thing with the phone sex operator. All right. I want you to have the real deal in this life. I want you to have the real things, the real stuff that really counts, that really matters. And nothing matters more than having an intimate partner that you can share the rest of your life and grow old with together. And that means no infidelity of any kind. That means not even entertaining the idea. All right. Because I want that for you. I want you to be able to know what that feels like. A lot of young people that I know in this day and age, they'll never have that unless they can turn away from, you know, uh, instant gratification. I mean, I'm putting fornicators together now with self pleasurers and porn addicts and whatnot. Okay. And, people will say, well, married people use porn sometimes. Well, to me, that's like inviting someone else into your bed. The marital bed is a sacred place. It should be, the place where your children are conceived. It should be the place where you express how much you care about each other. There is nothing in the Bible that says it's only for procreation. I know some people lived by that some years ago, but I mean, it even talks about, how, a husband needs to submit to his wife if those urges arise, and vice versa, because It is to keep the intimacy in the marriage. It is to keep the flesh from getting weak and going out and seeking its needs. It's turning away from the world and being with the one you truly love. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. So anyway, we've gone from three lies, to the lust thing, and now I want to get on to some other stuff that I think is a little bit more interesting and a little happier. Because the thing that I've noticed now is we're in the gloom and doom business. Everybody's got the gloom and doom. All the channels that I used to rely on to bring a smile to my face and tell me a story that would be interesting. And yeah, they cover serious stuff too, but they used to cover a mix of it. Now it's all gloom and doom. It's all urgency. It's all problems and issues, and we know what these issues are. All right, we hopefully are praying for our ICE agents and other members of the federal government who are trying to, deal with our immigration problem. We hopefully start praying that our senators in Washington, D.C. will do the right thing and pass the SAVE Act. We hope that, our President Trump will start taking a little more interest in domestic issues and less in foreign affairs. And I know that it has to be balanced, and I know that what he's dealing with is important. I'm not saying that, okay? But I am saying that there are a lot of things, kitchen table issues, that are kind of being lost in the shuffle here, and I don't want that to happen. All right. You have the midterms coming up, and I know that a big economic boom is coming. There's a lot of information in the finances of America that shows that it's going to turn around. It's going to be like the Reagan jump. All right. So it's probably going to take a little over a year or so before it really kicks in. So, I want them to deal with the kitchen table issues now. Now, one thing I do want people to understand too, though, is we're acting like inflation is gone. Inflation is not gone at all. Inflation is gone through the roof. And you know how you can tell? Gold and silver prices. This week, because I needed some cash, I sold a silver coin that I had that I bought at $10 and I sold it for $90. So, that'll tell you that's a barometer of inflation is when gold and silver goes up because they're unsure what's going to happen with the currency. And I'm very afraid of a central bank digital currency. So let's hope that doesn't happen. All right. Let's hope that stays away. Now, I have done my part to get rid of the sad and bad news out. Now I want to do something that's I think is really interesting. All right. This is the type of thing that we need. More hope. Okay. And this to me is hope. A restaurant owner on the Jersey Shore has been able to save over 122 missing pets with his horde of high-tech drones. 64-year-old Michael Parzali uses his 18 drones to run his nonprofit Unmanned Search and Rescue USAR drone team. His goal is to use his pet rescue services to support veterans with drone career training for free. He offers, whoops, he offers his services throughout the state of New Jersey and has helped rescue dogs, cats, and even a cow since finding the nonprofit 2 years ago. So this is a guy who's reunited people with their pets. 122, that's a substantial number. All right. That's a lot of pets that probably would have died out there or, Lord knows whatever else. And we all know how we feel about our pets and how much we love them. And it's good to know that there are people like this that are out there. It's a nonprofit. Nobody's making any money off it, I don't think at all. And, he's out there and he's doing a yeoman's work trying to reunite people with their loved ones, their pets. So, let's take a little joy in something like that. Now, the next one, this is just so beautiful. Okay. I can't tell you enough how beautiful I find this. I just think it's it's the be all and end all. Um, this shows you the lengths and the strength of love. Watch a deaf dad sign ASL to his newborn preemie daughter. I'm your daddy. You're a beautiful girl, green eyes. You're so cute. I love you. disabilities don't determine someone's humanity. And if you look, you see that, it's this beautiful baby, and she's watching the fingers, and, you know, she's going to have a good life no matter how things go for her because she has that kind of love right from the beginning. And, this is the kind of thing that we should be praying for people like this. And we should be trying to indulge ourselves with more stories like this instead of trying to find reasons to hate everybody. Okay? I just think this is as beautiful as things are. I mean, as beautiful as things get. Another story that I think is, quite a winner here. By the way, before anyone gets started, this guy is a legal alien. Okay? Um, he is in this country legally. Okay, and he does send money home to his family, but I mean he's doing it the legal way. So, you know, this comes from dudes posting their W's. Students at school started
He'd be the
running
first
his
guy to be like,
school
"Hey, are you
after
okay?" And we're like, I mean, let's do something nice for him. No one else is going to.
And that's when they asked for it. If you could have one splurge, what would you buy?
Jeep Wrangler.
A Jeep Wrangler.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to work hard.
Francis sends money to his relatives in Ghana. Getting that car was nothing but a pipe dream. He squeezed for cash. So the boys started a fundraising campaign. And within just 4 months, they'd raised $22,000. Enough for a nice 2015 Jeep Wrangler.
He's just in disbelief.
That's incredible.
My God! I can't believe this. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Never, ever forget today.
Not because of the car, he says, but because of the kids. In Vienna, Virginia.
Now, that is beautiful. And I don't care, I know we have our issues here. And also, next week I'll be doing some stuff on the persecuted church. And Ghana is one of the worst countries for the persecuted church. But I don't consider this guy a part of it. I'm pretty sure his family probably isn't a part of it. For all we know, that he may well be a Christian. I don't know what his religious beliefs are. All right. But it's a beautiful thing when young people, see a need in somebody, and they try to do something to help. I mean, they raised $22,000 to get this guy a wonderful vehicle. I mean, look, they could have raised $1,000 and got him a jalopy, you know, but they didn't. They went the extra mile. They did what they could, and they did something nice for somebody. And him having a car is going to save him a lot of time in getting to work every day. So, it is a beautiful thing. I mean, he's going to have to maintain the insurance, which can be pretty expensive, but still, it's a beautiful thing, and those young people are to be commended, and so is that gentleman. All right, this to me is the opposite end of the spectrum. Now, this is older people, and I want you to see joy. Real joy, just like you saw joy when he was rolling on the ground with a smile on his face and he was hugging the tire. Well, this is a 103-year-old man reuniting with his wife after she spent a month in the hospital. Okay. Yeah, and he practically chucked that hooker, and all he wants to do is get there and embrace her. Because of the illnesses that he has, because of the illnesses that he has, he can't, he couldn't see her for that time. And because of the illnesses that she had, because her immune system was vulnerable. So they actually had to go without physically seeing one another. And I mean, look at that. After all these years, that love is just as beautiful as young people's love. It just doesn't quite look the same, okay? But I mean, to me, it's every bit as beautiful. I mean, look at the joy on their faces, you know, and how he reaches for her, and look at her smile. She just melted years right off her face, you know. That's the kind of thing that, like, look, I know we got to fight the war, and we got to, like, look into what's going on in the world and everything. But, take a few moments, find stories like this. This is from Restoring Your Faith in Humanity. Okay. And, let your heart be glad for a little while. Soften your heart a little bit, the hatred of the enemy. All right, because we don't need any more hate. I mean, we can fight the battle without hating. All right, that's what we accuse them of, and that's our biggest concern with them is how much they hate. All right. Now, this next story here is, just, you know, the adorability factor is completely off the charts. Um, this is Golden Retriever from Restoring Your Faith in Humanity again. Golden Retriever puppies reunite with nurse who delivered them. I've never been so jealous of a person. A million cuddles in 20 seconds. This is exactly the kind of therapy I need right now. Don't we all? All right. Look at how beautiful this is, huh? All the puppies. Yeah, there you go. And no, this is not AI. This is real AI. I believe that they come from some separate litters, even though they all look alike. But you could just feel and see the love. She must have been the first person who attended to them, after they were born, so they already have a familiarity with her. And puppies, when they have a familiarity, they know how to express love. Okay, sorry about that. I meant to do this without sound. You can see, how beautiful it is. They come from a couple of different litters, but you know, I mean, there's 20 puppies who absolutely love this woman. You can tell she's very good at her job, and they're so happy to see her. They know her right away, and that's just beautiful. I mean, the thing that we have to do is we have to stop for a minute every day and take some time and realize that we don't have to live in this dark, miserable world, being angry all the time about everything, fighting the war, so to speak. And again, it's important that we do. I'm not saying, that we need to drop it, but we also have to remember that there are good things in this world and take a minute, take a deep breath, stop and enjoy the good things in life. Okay. This next one I really love because I'm very partial to cats. Assuming my health gets better and I'm able to move out of this dump I live in, I would love to get a cat. Um, Firefighter rescued this kitten. Now the kitten won't leave his side. Look at how adorable that cat is, huh? That the baby is. And the firefighter too, you can see, here's an alpha male right there with a gentle heart. And what's more beautiful than that? You want a hero that you can count on, and who has a tender heart and who cares, who really cares. Well, I mean, this exemplifies it right here. This again came from Restoring Your Faith in Humanity. Look at that look on his face. I mean, that's real. you know you can't AI stuff like that. Okay, let's try something a little bit different, another alpha male, but let's show you somebody who has the common touch. And I really believe this guy, at the very least, is, um, at the very least, he has a Christian heart. I don't know what his religion is, but Brazilian footballer. Uh-oh, for some reason I'm stuck. What happened? What happened here? I can't get out of it. Uh, I'm sorry about that. We had some weather issues, which kind of threw things off there for a minute. So I apologize for the delay there. It knocked our internet out briefly, I believe, and now it's back to working. So I want to keep going because we're doing the hope here. We're bringing the hope. Let everybody else bring the aura of doom and gloom to everything. Let us do the hope. All right, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so I want to show you the Brazilian footballer. Um, he was won I don't know, some kind of cup. I really didn't pay attention to one because I was just so enamored with the actual story. And instead of celebrating with his teammates, what this gentleman does is
Jeito
he goes
absolutamente indiscutível.
cleaning stuff. Now,
E aí, tirar uma foto com os galinhos, olha que legal.
very humble.
É legal.
Bem-vindo, seu Diego Ribas!
E mostra muito do caráter desse grupo, né? A gente sempre fala, os jogadores estão na linha de frente. Nós aqui do vídeo que aparecemos, que fazemos parte de uma transmissão.
Iniciativa do Diego.
Yeah, and he goes over and he talks to the cleaning crew. That's a beautiful thing. I think it's the thing that we've forgotten in athletics today. Athletics has become so much about egos and scoreboards and signing autographs and being a big shot and everything else. And here's a guy with the common touch. He just went right to the cleaning staff. He walked away from his buddies and everything. And took the cup over there to celebrate with the people that you don't think of. You know what I mean? He's calling them in. He wants them there. I mean, that's the common touch. That is a beautiful thing. That's something that we should all, give thanks that there are people like this still in the world, that no matter what their position is in life, they want to do good things and do kindly things for people. I mean, he's a rich man. He doesn't have to worry about them, but he did. So there's that one. Now, this one here is just gorgeous. I absolutely love this. This is a big brother reunites with his sister. After 9 days apart, her face lit up the moment she saw her big brother.
I was just putting come here. Oh, she wants a hug. Give her a hug, dear. Oh. I'm gonna do it.
Let's not forget to say a prayer for this young lady. It's obvious that she's going through a lot. I don't really know what the story is. This comes to us from Wolf of X. Okay. But, not only let's say a prayer for her, but I mean, let's just, one more time without sound this time, let's just enjoy that, that happiness, the absolute joy that she has, and you can see it, even the brother too, with the big smile and everything. Yeah, he's a bit interested over here, but look at her. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And he leans all the way over so she can give him a proper hug, and look at that. The way her eyes closed and everything, you could tell that was just pure joy. And in someone in her position, that means a whole lot because that can turn the whole trajectory of someone's healing, you know. So let's remember to pray for her. I don't really know much about her. I only saw this a couple days ago and I didn't really have time to research it. So, but there's that. So anyway, that's a bit with the hopeful stuff. Now let's get to the people that we do not want to forget under any circumstances. Let's keep praying for Andrew Wolf, who is doing quite well. I'm told that he's, progressing much better than anyone would have expected at this point in his recovery. So let's keep the prayers going for him and his family, and let's take a little joy in that level of hope. Another person we can't forget is Tina Peters. Okay, I had footage, but I can't find it now. Of she actually got into a little. I won't say it was an actual fight, but it looked like it could have been a fight if she had, kowtowed, and she didn't. A 70-year-old woman was, like going toe to toe with a woman half her age, you know, and she wasn't afraid to throw down if she had to. But you know what? There's no reason why she has to. Let's start putting some pressure on the Colorado governor to commute her sentence. All right. They don't have to find her innocent or whatever. They don't have to pardon her completely, but let's commute her sentence. She's done enough time. All right. We'll deal with the rest after that. But please keep her in your prayers. This is a Gold Star mother, all right, who brought out the truth about election fraud and exposed Jenna Griswold, who was in charge of that, and how she made the elections very vulnerable in that state. And for her efforts, much like Saint Paul, much like Paul from the Bible, uh, she was put in jail for it. Like Paul told the truth and he was jailed for it. Tina Peters told the truth and she's jailed for it. So let's do something that we couldn't do for Paul. We couldn't get him out of jail, you know, but that's not such a bad thing because we got some of the best writings ever. But let's do our best to try and do something to get Tina Peters out of jail, even if it's only pray. Okay. Another person I don't want us to forget this week is DJ Daniel, and he's always at the top of my mind. I can't stop thinking about this kid because again, he isn't just like some symbolic figure or anything. I mean, he's a true Christian. He worships God, you know, and in such a way that he goes around to other sick people around the country and he does his best to try and, help them feel better, to encourage them along in their recovery and to make them feel better. All right. He's an absolutely beautiful young man, and he does a lot of beautiful stuff. And his father is a really great man, Theodius Daniel. He's running for the 18th district in Texas. If you can drop a couple of bucks in the Kinney to help him get elected, please do. If you can, at the very least, um, offer him some encouragement and some prayer, do that. You know, whatever you can do, from the heart. Just do it because these are good people. These are the type of people we have to lift up. Do you want all of this hatred and hardened hearts in this country to end? These are the people you have to lift up and not let go of. Just like Charlie Kirk. We let go of Charlie Kirk after his sacrifice. In the beginning, it was a very kumbaya moment until people saw the opportunity to, make it all about them and do what they could do to, I don't know what to say, disrupt, destroy the legacy that Charlie left behind, whatever else you want to say. All right. But let's not forget his sacrifice. Let's come back to Christ. All right. Let's start having some candlelight vigils and some prayers. Let's do some outreach. Let's start getting together and praying for the country, not just winning the daily debate on Twitter or Facebook or wherever else you do your social media at. I'm talking about really winning the hearts and minds of people through prayer. There is nothing stronger than a group of people united in one prayer, to make something happen. And it's actually been scientifically proven before. And we'll get to that next week. I'm going to do a show on persecuted Christians around the world because I want you to understand that, yes, it is not easy to be a Christian in America. It's not easy to be a Christian in Europe, but the problems are incredibly first world compared to some of these places and what they go through to be a Christian and how it doesn't stop them in the least. And the other thing that you'll find is, unlike us, they don't complain in the slightest. All right. They talk about the injustice fair and square, but they use their time being jailed, to get closer to God. The Holy Spirit is their companion while they're in there. Um, People that are getting shot in mass numbers, it doesn't deter other people from going back to church the next weekend. Okay. Because they don't give up. This is what Christ wants to instill in all of us, and we can all be inspired by them. It doesn't matter where they're from, it doesn't matter what their country's culture is. If they're Christians and they love Jesus and they're willing to die to go love Jesus, well, they're good Christians in my book, and they're people that we should be praying for. So I hope that you'll join me next week. I consider it a very special show that I'm putting together about the persecuted church. I'm using a BitChute group called the Persecuted Church to show you some of the footage of what's going on there. So we're going to have several movies. It'll run a little longer than my average shows, but I really want people to start taking heart in how much people are willing to suffer for Christ. And let's not forget that there were a lot of people that suffered in Christ's name to get us to this point in time. Okay? So let's pray for all of them. All right, at this point, I'm going to close the show and I'm going to ask you to pray for me because I'm praying for you. And let's pray for everybody that was mentioned on the show tonight. Let's pray for the persecuted Christians around the world. Do your own research. You will find it is absolutely horrifying what happens to Christians in various places around this country. I mean, around the world, rather. And I want you to remember that don't take any shortcuts with God. You know, I almost tried to take a shortcut this week, and it was the worst, most grievous feeling in my heart ever. But now I feel even closer to God than I've ever felt before. You know, I could feel the pain of Jesus Christ dying on the cross for those sins that I was committing right there. I was making him increase grace. Think of it as every time you make him increase grace by your sin, all right, it's causing him greater pain because he still feels those pains from the cross because he suffered for you. All right. Let's love Jesus. Let's not make him suffer. I know sins will happen. We are sinners. We're going to sin. But sins like, you know, the big ones, lying, you know, any sin really, but sins that, you know, don't happen in the spur of the moment like that, you know, let's try and take a moment, be a little bit slower, be a little less emotional, and let's remember that somebody suffered for you to be here now so that you can spread his word to other people to save them from an eternity of torment. That's our job. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Rumble. Thank you, all my Getter people. I absolutely love and adore you. I'm sorry that we had the little internet outage there, but you know, I'm glad that I was able to come back and finish the show. And I just want you to know I really love you. People on BitChute too. Some weeks my shows don't come out there for whatever reason, but you still make an effort to try and find me elsewhere, and I appreciate that very much. I love all of you, okay? With a Christian heart, I love each and every one of you, whether you watch me or you don't, okay? I love you all, and I want you all to find your way to Jesus Christ, and I want you to find your way home to heaven when God calls you, all right? Pray for me. I'm praying for you. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Pastor Murray, can you take us out, please?
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. I'll identify these people, who they are and what they're doing, because one of them gets a deadly wound. And the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard. That's one that changes spots. That's your Kenite. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. That'll take in Roosh, and his mouth is the mouth of a lion, his tearing, and the dragon, who? Satan himself, the old dragon, gave him his power and his seat. What again does this word seat mean? Throne. The dragon himself gives the one world government its throne. That means its power. You might wonder, you know, many people would say, well, how could all these nations from Tahiti, from Bahrain to Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Yemen, how could all of them at the same time rise up? They got something in common, my friend. And we're talking about somebody that's going to give it a throne. Not just a seat, a throne. What happens then? Verse 3. And I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Who healed that wound? Well, read the next verse. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? The one world government, you can't make war with that. Why? There's no government to go against it. It consumes the world, but not God's elect. This is where you got to understand, and this is why you got to have strong faith, is to know as long as God is with you, who can be against you? Nobody. As long as you are armed with the sword of the Lord, the truth, and you understand what's happening in the world, God protects you. You and He make a majority, and you can count on that. You can believe it.